Good morning and welcome to Mystical Teachings from the Tanya. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We welcome Anna from Budapest, Hungary. Good afternoon. And DJ, good evening to you all the way in Australia. John, good morning in North Carolina. Simcha in Florida. Asher is with us. Boker Tov in Memphis, Tennessee. Liba and Davida, good morning in New York. Michael, shalom to you in Germany. And another Michael in Ontario, welcome. Boker Tov. Rabbi is with us in Tangier, Morocco. Rina, Boker Tov. To you in Colorado. Karen, good morning. Eugene is with us in Calgary. June is all the way in Australia where evening is coming. We have on Clubhouse, Batya, Vilma, David, Adi, Mer, Sina, Ilyana, Benjamin, Lindsay, Selena, Mendel, Winson. We also have on Instagram, Yenta Telabenta. A nice name. Tony in Costa Rica, McCoy in Peru, and some others I can't make out. We have Michael with us in Edmonton, Scotty in Tennessee, Diane in London, Ontario. Okay. Matt is with us in Detroit, Irma in St. Martin, Elizabeth in Los Angeles, Gamal's in Montreal. Okay. Today's learning is sponsored by the Lanetsky family in honor of Yakova Miriam Bas Chaim Leib. Her yahrzeit is today. Young girl that passed away several years ago. Prime of life. May her neshama go from strength to strength. If you'd like to sponsor one of the classes, you can just go to the TanyaRabbi.com and you can sign up over there. I'd like to also make mention that to one of our students that comes daily to learn, Tim from Texas, lost his mother yesterday, 92 years old. May her soul go from strength to strength. And only have simchas. Okay. We are concluding today the 12th letter. We're going to tie in all the missing pieces. We spoke about two types of giving. One that is based on the nature of the soul, which the nature of the godly soul is to be kind and compassionate. So that's an instinctual form of giving. And that is the act of charity. Maisa Hatzdaka. But then there is Avodas Hatzdaka, the service of charity. Avoda means labor. The labor of giving. Which means the effort that's put into it. That is beyond one's nature. Beyond one's nature is the point. So let's tie this in. So we said that the Maisa Hatzdaka brings to you shalom, peace. It brings peace. So let's understand. The act, not the service, brings peace. We explained earlier what peace is. Peace means in heaven above, it means that God makes peace between Michal and Gabriel, between Michael and Gabriel, between kindness and severity, chesed and gvura as it's called in Hebrew, right and left. Two opposites, water on the right, fire on the left. Usually they put out each other. However, peace means a power that's greater than them, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God, His light, an infinite light, brings a coalescing of chesed and gvura between kindness and severity. So much so that if there's a severe judgment, it's sweetened as a result. That's on high. What was peace on earth? Well, ultimately, it's the eradication of all evil. Eradication of all evil from this world, which means true refinement of all of the negative forces here that are removed, and what's left is only the positive, is the goodly and the godly. And that will ultimately come in times of Mashiach. That's peace. That's what peace is. So, we can have an experience of it, though, today, the Alter Rebbe says. As we explained previously, the experience will be in a time of prayer. In other words, it can be a time of prayer where our negative nature is sort of on the back burner. It's not there. It's not erupting. Takes a lot to get there, by the way. Not so simple. Right? But we might have had such moments in prayer. So we can have that moment of peace, meaning of the presence of God, the light of God in our prayer that is illuminating us in that moment. So we can have it. However, it doesn't last. Because after prayer, we come back into, a material world. We come back and all of the, we're struggling. We're not focused. We're not seeing things in just a oneness of God. All of a sudden, there's duality. There's this that I like. There's this that I want. There's this that I lust. And I'm pulled in many directions. No oneness of God anymore. Why is that? Why is that? Is because even though I gave charity before my prayers, right? Like we learned, before your prayers, give charity and then face God, and then you'll get the inward light of God, right? That's what we're talking about. However, that giving is a natural, almost autopilot kind of thing, which is great, but it's not a true refinement of the individual. And therefore, even though I gave the tzedakah, and now I will be illuminated, I can be illuminated in my prayers with this light of God that brings a sense of peace. Now, again, peace doesn't mean just, just a simple tranquility, right? But it means a connection to this presence of God, the light of God in my prayers. So it's amazing. It is. It is an amazing thing. However, it doesn't last. It doesn't last. However, if we give tzedakah, we give charity through a toil, through effort, that's called service. Avodah. Avodah comes from like the word eved, a servant who serves, who toils. So if we give tzedakah, excuse me, in such a manner of toiling, what does that mean? That we're overcoming our nature of giving, which is a limited manner of giving. We're doing it out of the deference to the divine will, beyond what is natural, what is comfortable, in other words. And because we have been able to subjugate our negative side, then we can get a light of God this lofty light of God that will be in our, not just in our prayers, but can be throughout the day. In other words, if we can subjugate ourselves when it comes, we can overcome ourselves when it comes to money, that we can give above and beyond what is natural to us. So what have we done? We've overcome the darkness, and we've now introduced a greater light in the place of that darkness, right? As we know that greater light comes from darkness. What that means is a true refinement of the individual that will last and can last that quietness and surety forever, as the verse says. The avodas tzedakah, that through the service of being charitable, that we get hashket v'vetach li'olam, quietness and surety. Quietness from what? From our negative side, from the darkness within us. Why? Because we overcame it in the instance of giving tzedakah. So that gives us the capability that we can overcome it at all times. The word hashket, quietness, also is related to the word shoket, which means the resting of the dregs, like in the wine, when they're separated. In other words, we'll be able to separate from the dregs of the wine. We'll be able to separate from the dregs of our being, our personality, of our negativity, of the klipa within us, as a result. And that's what creates that quietness and surety. Surety from not having to deal with the negative side, the darkness within us. Why? Because we dealt with it, rising above our nature, and therefore giving in such a way will give us an assurity that our negative side will not reawaken itself after the prayers, like it would be if we just gave in a natural way, in an intuitive, instinctual way. Okay, so that is a conclusion of the 12th letter. Let's unpack this. Let's take this idea. So I think the main idea over here is that real refinement of the individual is not about acting refined, but it's overcoming a nature that's not refined. So, you might sit at the meal and you act very refined. You put your napkin nicely and you have the fork in the right place, the knife in the right place. Everything is, that's acting refined. That's not being refined, right? Making sure your words are said nicely, You say please and thank you. That's very refined. Well, that's what the Alter Rebbe is explaining as refinement. He's explaining refinement, that whatever our nature is, that we work with it and try to overcome it. Whatever our natural instinct is, here he's speaking specifically about charity, but of course it goes in every area. Whatever it is, that we overcome that we deal with it, which is an amazing idea. Because, we need to be honest with ourselves. We like the path of least resistance. And where's there resistance? In a place that I'm having a challenge and a difficulty with. So our nature would be to, let's go elsewhere where it's easier for me. We've discussed this idea previously. Where do we know that our real, purpose in life is in the one thing that where we excel. So that's part of our purpose. And the other place where we know our purpose is exactly where we don't excel. exactly where we have the challenge, exactly where that darkness is. Especially when we're talking about if it's something that, is repeatedly coming up. So that we know that that is a place that we need greater refinement. So we don't run away. From the challenge, because that's where we're going to have the refinement, that's where we're going to have our growth, um, ultimately. Again, that's, it's counterintuitive. But, hey, that's everything we're learning over here. Or almost everything is counterintuitive. In other words, or we may understand it intuitively, but, our heart is, not there intuitively. Maybe our minds are, but not our hearts. So that's part of what we need to do to overcome. But yeah, that's what we're here for. So that's one point. So, giving beyond nature, our nature. I think that's a real important point. Second point is that um, even when you give, even when you give by nature, in other words, the very act of that giving, even though it's not an effort for you to give. You're not working on yourself to give beyond what is your comfort zone. Give me what's comfortable. Even that produces an amazing thing. That in prayer, you could have peace, meaning that you can, not a peace of mind, but a peace of God, right? That we can have that light of God that can illuminate us in prayer, which is, pretty powerful. That we just giving, a little bit of money, and it can be just into the pushka, into the charity box that we do on a daily basis. That's very powerful. So we shouldn't minimize or think that it's, what's the big deal, you know. No, it is a big deal. And we should make a big deal about it, about giving, even that which is comfortable. We should make a big deal, absolutely. Okay. Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas to be shared. Remember, on Facebook, Instagram, 2 question marks first, and then put in your question. Um, and I know now that. Please do share. So far, I don't see any questions here. Davida, I don't think so. Don't see any questions. We have in Clubhouse anybody? Oh, Usher. Might we miss other avenues of tzedakah, time and time-sensitive mitzvahs, personal engagement with others, also time-consuming when we focus on money? So, a good question, Asher. So, we're focusing. The Alter Rebbe is focusing on money. Is that it? Only money? Is that the only focus when we speak about being charitable? So it seems from the Torah point of view that money is, I guess, let's take it from a simple level. A simple level that when the Torah says, that we should give minimum a tenth, up to 20% in a regular fashion. So that's something that is all mitzvahs. There can be parameters to it. It's delimited by something. Um, the Torah is going to come and say, well, every week you have to give 2 hours of your time to somebody. So that's not so, it doesn't really have the same kind of parameters, shall we say, that can be self-imposed. So that's one thing, one point. Secondly, is for many, giving money, it's harder than giving time. Um, for some, not everybody. But after all said and done, there's no doubt that we're not just, money and giving tzedakah in that manner is essential, because when you give money, so you give the opportunity of the institution that takes the money, the person that takes the money, to use it in how they need it. If you're giving your time, you know, your friend is moving and you're going to give your time to schlep some boxes, that's great. And we need to do that. And that's under the mitzvah of acts of loving kindness, of Avos Yisrael, um, and necessary to do. And it doesn't have a delimited manner in how to do it, firstly. Um, and there's something, it seems, from the Torah perspective about money that is very powerful. So yes, we need acts of loving kindness, absolutely. And, um, and often, when we speak about chesed, that's what we're talking about. But there seems to be something about giving money that brings the redemption closer. It brings a greater atonement to the person, more than acts of loving kindness. Again, that's very clear from the Torah. Some notions of why just gave, but I'm sure there's more. But yes, Asher, we need to have both. Okay. All right. Anybody Clubhouse has something to share with us? Okay. Oh, Clem, lately I realized more and more, since in giving more tzedakah, my health has amazingly improved, and also is able to make peace with so-called and family troubles. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Clem. That's really quite amazing. That through being charitable, health improves and family troubles have improved. That is something else. Thank you for sharing that. John, does charity given at a level of Avodah cause greater flow of divine light than charity given in one's natural inclination? So it seems so, because that's what perhaps makes it um, um, that's what makes it, quiet and sure. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that, John. Marcel gives lots of tzedakah, asking why am I still, uh, in his words, poor. Maybe you're not poor, maybe you're rich. Who's a rich person? Satisfied with their lot. Um, or maybe not. So I can't answer that. The only thing I can answer is Hashem should bless you. That you should have everything that you need and beyond. You should be blessed. But I don't have an answer. But only may you be blessed. Clemson seems to have things improve. I guess sometimes we will see that, sometimes we won't see that. Okay. Yeah. Blessings to you. Anybody else? Oh, okay. Got the message, Jeffrey. Hatzlacha Rabba. Okay, folks. A reminder, today 12:45, Rambam. Interesting laws that we're learning now. Also a reminder, those who want to sponsor, TanyaRabbi.com. And may the Neshama of Yaakova, Miriam, Jacqueline, Bas Chaim Leib, have an Aliyah, and may we all have a wonderful day. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad.Chabad. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you, Tanya. Have a wonderful, great day. Thank you.